Okay, so this is my trade recap for Monday. Let me go over the hard time from Logic real quick. I actually kind of want to go over the monthly on YM. Um, so, as we see, last month traded into this high, right? Created SMT with YM here. But what did all SS do? They all V-shaped bullishly, right? And we're creating the SMT with a premium of the range, OT. So, thinking about SS Inc., that's therefore failure SMT. So we can definitely do C3, C4 continuation this month. We have 18 days left to continue the expansion to break this SMT. And then if we go down to the weekly, we've defined the low of this monthly candle. Let me do this. So, weekly. Right, this week was the start of the month. So we've already defined the low of the monthly candle with a weekly swing point. And so the only thing that's unclean is, so it's like this SMT. We had this SMT like here pretty much. Here, it doesn't matter. And what we do after creating that, all has to be shaped. We're creating SMT with an OT, and then we're consolidating with creating the SMT. So that's a continuation of sure expansion mode with consolidation. We should expand again. But the reason why this is consolidation now is because create C2 and then C3 failed to close with the prominent closure. So we could create C4 continuation if this week respects discount C with a refined key level, which would be this gap here, closest daily level to the new week that can open. Which if we close with the C2 today on Monday, then we anticipate Tuesday C3, etc. to reach above the French high here, and then the higher time frame objective for it. But we could also go there. But anyways, so that's the hard time logic. Like everything's definitely bullish. But what I seen today was we've seen NQ yesterday create C2 reverse into expansion kernel. So typically when price creates a C2 into expansion, price has already reversed and expanded within the same candle. So it's kind of lower probability to assume that C3 will expand again. We could probably get a new phase of price delivery, especially when C2 has already reached the objective level, right? We did internal range liquidity to external range liquidity, pretty high. And then especially when there's nothing above market price to target, right? And also, YM doesn't support that bullish expansion, right? So it's kind of hard to be bullish on Monday, especially when last week, there's many things that are just going against bullishness, especially when last week expanded higher, was one-sided bullish. We're probably not going to be one-sided bullish on Monday, right? It's definitely one-sided bearish, especially since we know if we're going to continue from this weekly range, if we're going to continue from this week, when are we going to get a new phase of price delivery? It's likely going to happen early on in the week. Most likely, ideally this week, opens a lower at first, early on in the week especially, to then go higher. But nevertheless, yesterday did create C2. We could create C3 continuation, as long as today respects the refined key level in the forever. So, go back. We've seen 1800 open up here. Right, and this is the refined key level within per day's range, closest for level to the new daily can open that we want to frame the low day off of with a 4-hour swing point. 1800 did open up, head lower into it, and then reverse higher. I didn't like the reverse signature during 1800, I'm not gonna lie. I don't like that at all. It's horrible. It's choppy. So, but 1800, reached pretty high right away. But what I liked about it is we didn't reach it on ES. Right, we kind of have that SMT with ES. So we could trade SS Inc. and break this SMT on ES. And then going into like 6 a.m. What I wanted to see is we consolidated, we inside barred within 1800 range. So now the new refined key level, if we're going to go higher, we would have to, and it looks good actually, expansion mode consolidation, we could definitely manipulate to go higher, and that's the only way we can anticipate price to expand. Price doesn't have to manipulate when it's in consolidation, it could just break, do a breakout. could just expand through the high without manipulating. We won't be able to trade that, right? Because we can't anticipate it. But so ideally during the driver during 6 a.m. we should manipulate this low. We don't. Instead, price takes the range high at first and then reverses. And we're actually holding this SMT with YM with pretty high, right? So it's kind of weird, but this is technically pretty high on NQ, while this is pretty high on YM. So I don't like how we're creating this SMT within premium of the range. That was definitely another sign of this being lower probability. But right now, we can definitely reverse off pretty high. As I've already explained, bullishness isn't really clean. This is definitely valid. But I'll go back. So on the far, the framework would be order per ranges, the profile would be 6 a.m. manipulation C2, the SMT would be with pretty high. And since we were creating the SMT here, let's just keep making higher highs. We got to see strength switching on this asset specifically to confirm that SMT, and that's what we did here. We created a strength switch PSP, and also if you think about it, we're trading a reversal day candle, so I have to confirm the daily candle with second stage SMT, and that's what we got here perfectly during 6 a.m. So 6 a.m. reached the key level. Does this for expansion bearishly? No. So I have to wait for the candle limit. 10 a.m. 10 a.m. opened up. Alright, so actually so now let's drop down to the 1 hour and 30 minute, now the 4 hour, the daily for expansion bearishly, or land with expansion bearishly. One thing, you know, it's also, it's not bad. I was gonna say like the profile is kind of shit where we open lower, then open higher, and then it's kind of like seek and destroy. So, like I said, PA, it's not shit, but jumping down to the 1 hour 30 minute. Both 1 hour 30 minute reverse. 90 minute. I didn't even check the 90 minute actually. Maybe that's why I stopped out. Let's see. Maybe I should have waited. Oh yeah, I should have waited till 10:30. That's my fault. Okay. Well, I should have waited for candle limit on the 30 minute. That's exactly why I priced. I mean, we did reverse going into 10:30, I guess, but nah, hold on, let me go down to 30 minutes. So yeah, we driver manipulates, doesn't manipulate range low at first to go higher, so therefore bearishness, everything's one sided bearish at this point. Price holds that SMT with pretty high. Creates that strength switch on the forward. And then 9:30 manipulates C2s, and the 10 a.m. is opening up within an line swing, right? GXT continuation sequence, and the SMT, right? Everything's clean, to level. Problem is I like how ES has feather swings as well, super clean. It's just it's only NQ that's reverse and lower. I definitely anticipate on the 1 hour 30 minute, and we did do this early on, is strength switch second stage SMT via swing point. Strength switch is the swing point SMT. And then also line as well. But we really got to see YM and ES reverse, right? And the reason why I took off early on, like at half risk, so I risked like 500, took off at like 250 or 220 or some shit, because of the fact that YM and ES, YM and ES were failing to reverse. And then you'll see going on to lower time frame. 10 a.m. should respect the new refined validation low and should be obviously premium wick C. I want to see the wick of 10 a.m. I want to see 10 a.m.'s wick, 10 a.m.'s candle's wick, I guess, form within the lower half of this candle's range. Right? To create that small wick, that 4 hour expansion candle. If we create a large wick on the 4 hour, I don't trade it. I don't care, especially during 10 a.m. It's just a complete invalidation. So, even though the target level was in close proximity to 10 a.m. open, but so now the 1 hour 30 minute, the 4 hour, the daily are all aligned with expansion bearishly. Everything's valid. We got 2 stages SMT with the highs, dropping down to the 3 minute or 5 minute. You'll see that we created higher highs here on ES. And then we V-shaped on YM or NQ. I mean, great. So we got that that clean V-shape during 9:30 in a way. It's still not perfect, but it's valid to enter off of because we got gaps. Still pretty high res though. And then yeah, so 10 EM opened up. I entered during this candle before it even closed. entered off the CSD itself. I was honestly hesitant. I was thinking about just skip it today. I was like, I don't know. But then I seen ES reverse lower, and then YM as well, or YM and ES reverse lower. ES wasn't really wanting to though. I was like, that's hella weird. I'm not gonna lie. YM was reverse lower. I liked that. That looked pretty clean. Had my stop here, and I shot pushing for that 3R, the target level, demi target level. Higher time frame objective, which is at a 3R perfectly, like the perfect entry. So yeah, boom. And so I took that, and then I seen the very next candle, kind of like, and now I'm like, okay, for one, I want to see price kind of like, not, and now it's like, you know, if I go back to the 30-minute, we're at above, you know, working out Primo C. We're above Primo C at this point. Look how large the wick is now in the 4 hour. Or 10 AM. Even though it's kind of like, it's pretty large. And the main thing is just no asset. Like ES isn't really wanting the reverse lower at this time too. And price retraced into OT of this range. When in reality it should have never done that. It just looked shit, and then plus with everything else, kind of looking shit for the day. Like it was a lower probably day, so I was very preservative. I was very, very careful with trading today. So I was trying to preserve capital. That's it. So I took off here. I don't know. See if I can do this. Yeah. So I entered here. Took off right here. Right around here. So about half risk, and then you see price. It would have taken my stop loss, and then it reversed lower, almost reached my take profit, and then it reversed higher away from literally nothing. So yeah, this makes sense. Shop VPA. Search. It's wanting to keep that like search, seek and destroy profile. So, but yeah, at first when going into today, I wanted to see bullishness when the driver during 6 AM failed to manipulate consolidation low and then kind of close before reaching this high. Carry 10 AM continuation to reach that here during 6 AM. I'm trying to use 6 AM wasn't going to support the expansion bullishness, so I would have to wait for 10 AM no matter what. I immediately switched my bias to bearish, which was actually what I wanted. Like it's very clean and like more logical and higher probability for sure to go lower today. But that's crazy that price just failed to respect that C2 during 10 AM. A lot of people lost today, so it was clean. You can't really. This was just like a very shitty day. I knew it was shitty though when going into it, and you just know when price is shitty. But I also knew that it was clean when going into 10 AM, and it was value to risk money on. And I'm very happy with myself for taking off after seeing what 10 AM did, because 10 AM should have never done what it did. It should have never traced up an OT of that range. And then what also sold the deal for me was the fact that the correlated assets like YM and ES fell into reverse lower within time, which is just, so it's like actually let me try to just like there's no reason to like look at that book size. It's crazy, but there's no reason to consolidate here. You know, we hold that SMT with YM with pretty high. This 10 AM, so create that string switch. So it's like right when we create that string switch, you know, that's that. Okay, no, we didn't create it again. I forgot that we did. But so we did create this one here at SMT. But yeah, we created the SMT and then we just displaced through slowly reverse lower. But like the fact that we created this SMT here, we had that string switch PSP, and there was the price on all assets were showing bullish signatures expansion with consolidation. We're probably going to reach this high to go lower, and that would create you know, string switching and all that, whatever. So, but yeah, so valid loss for sure. Only $250. It's really not that big of a deal. I'm sure I'll make, hopefully, I'm hoping for like 10 times that this week. But everybody's thinking that this week's gonna be ass because of the news and all that. So we'll see what happens. Last week was honestly ass, but ass in terms of it was like, it was still logical though. This week though might not have any logic to any day. Like today, for example, C2, but for some reason Tenium decided to reverse higher without manipulating this low on any asset. Well, YM is closer to this low anyway, so it should, or NQS, so it should have been NQ that manipulated it at least. But so it's like, this is not logical. You can't trade the C2 bullshit. You have been trading to anything key. So it's like, we could see this literally every day of the week where price just like reverses, and then next day just doesn't respect that for no reason at all. So let's hope that we don't. Let's pray.